Welcome to the latest Zeal Access webinar. My name is James Radke, Managing Editor of Zeal Access, and today I will be offering a few more tips on how to improve your website so that you, your staff, your audience, your donors, and even Google are happy with the site. This is the second webinar in this series. The first set of tips were largely focused on making your site Google friendly, while today's tips will focus more on making your site audience friendly. To view the first webinar, go to our tips section at zealaccess.ca. Before we get started, I want to take a minute to give you a brief background on Zeal Access. We are a company focused on helping patient advocacy groups with their communications. Our staff has over 15 years experience in web design, advocacy, and medical communications, and we want to use those skills to help advocacy groups reach their potential. To learn more about our company, feel free to reach out to me via the email or phone as shown here. Okay, on to the subject of today's webinar, more tips to improve your website. So the first tip we're going to go over, and the fourth in this series, is how to make a good first impression. Your website is the first thing that a patient, caregiver, doctor, nurse, scientist, or donor will see. You want to make sure it looks good. As we've touched upon in our last webinar, you only have a few seconds for your website to keep a person interested in that website. In that webinar, we called it the 10-second rule. Basically, a person will leave a site in 10 seconds if they do not find what they are interested in. And if they are spending a few of those seconds just loading your site, they've already left. Sorry. You know, it takes a great deal of time and patience to create and manage a website, but your audience, they have neither time nor patience. They are doctors running between appointments. They are patients quickly trying to learn something about a disease they just learned they have. These people do not have time to waste. So the average time to open a web page really needs to be under a couple seconds. Things that slow down a web page are the server, the images are not optimized, too many plugins, broken links. The list is very, very long. We at Zeal Access can help you if you want. We are more than willing to give you a free audit to go over some of the things that can make your website function more efficiently. The 10-second rule also applies to how easy a person can find what they're looking for. Most websites have a plethora of information to share, but you are best to group those pieces of information into different topics on your menu. A nice clean top menu with just 5 or 6 items looks great. And with the advent of drop-down menus, you can still fit a lot of navigation into that menu. Here's an example of a good website that is easy to navigate. Lymphoma is a very complicated disease, but this group, Lymphoma Canada, has been able to tell you who they are, what lymphoma is, upcoming events, and a list of resources in a very easy, pleasing manner. Okay, mobile friendly. Probably half or more of your audience is looking at your site using a phone or tablet. However, as creators of the site, you are most likely just looking at the site using a desktop or laptop. Now, just because you are usually looking at it from a desktop or laptop means you may not even know what it looks like on a phone. You might be very surprised at how many images or titles or spaces look strange on your phone that look so good on your computer. Fortunately, most modern websites have programs in place to make sure they look good on multiple platforms. To see if yours is mobile friendly, the test is fairly simple. Look at your website on a phone. Look at it on different phones, on different tablets, and on different computers if possible. And while you're at it, try looking at it using different programs, Chrome, Firefox, Safari. If you see any problems, again, give us a call and we can see if we can help you. Next, professional looking. Does your site look like it was developed by a professional, or was it created by Wix and it shows? Now, I understand that many of you do not have a lot of money to hire a professional to design your site, but a good site does send a clear message. And that message is your group knows how to invest in what is important and to invest wisely. If you go into a bank, you do not want that bank to be a trailer. You want it to be a nice, well-built building so that you know your money is safe and being used by people who know how to invest properly. The same thing applies to your advocacy website. So should you spend a few $100s or a few $1,000s on a good web design? Well, we at Zeal Access are slightly biased, but we would say yes. A well-designed site means it will load fast, be easy to navigate, be mobile friendly, etc. It's a great investment. It also means that the site will be finished. We all have a friend who can do it for free, but a friend doing it for free will, at best, finish about 70 to 80% of the site before they have to volunteer for something else. We have all seen that scenario. So again, we are biased, but we would recommend hiring professional service to design your site. Okay, the next tip, making a good second impression. Once your audience is willing to stay more than 10 seconds, how are you going to keep them there? Well, it's fairly straightforward. You want to give them news, information, and calendar events that is up to date. It sounds simple enough, but it's hard to do. It means your site should have new articles posted on a regular basis. The information should be helpful and informative. Simply writing out a generic description of a trial or disease will not be sufficient. Do you have links to that trial? Do you have a list of symptoms of the condition? Is there a list of clinics in each province or major city? And events, an events calendar is a great way to keep your audience engaged. When and where is the next event? Does the information on your event page have everything a new person would need to attend it? If it is a fundraiser next weekend, is there an address, an exact time, a list of things going on at that event, a link to last year's event so people can see pictures of what to expect? This is really the hardest thing to do on your website. It means you have to take time out of your day or week to regularly, and I mean regularly, update your site. If you do not have time, try to hire someone or assign one of your volunteers to do it on a regular basis. Again, if you have a list of trials, are there links to it? If it's an event, are there more details about that event? If it's information about the condition, do you have a list of symptoms, treatment options, clinics, etc.? For more tips, feel free to reach out to us and we can brainstorm. We have ways to do this efficiently and effectively. Also, know your audience. Some of this was discussed in detail in our previous webinar, but basically, you need to know who your main audience is and provide them with the information they want and need. If you're focused on patients or caregivers, is there information about clinics, local meetups, insurance tips, etc.? If it's researchers, is there information about grants or funding? And speaking of money, the donate page. It should be a place that is easy to find and also informative, and most importantly, make it easy for them to donate. If that page is clean, the donation will not only go through, but if it's pleasurable enough and informative enough, they may donate more than originally intended. And the final tip of the day, building trust. There are a lot of ways to build trust with your audience, both consciously and subconsciously. First among them is a secure website. In the old days of 2017, only pages dealing with personal or financial information needed to be secure. That is no longer the case. New Google algorithms are now in place, and they favor secure sites, and people are being informed if a site is not secure. Another way to build trust is just show people who you are on the About Us page. If you're an advocacy group or a nonprofit, people coming to your site want to know who you are. That is especially true if you're asking them to upload personal or financial information. Here's a good example of an About page from ALS Canada. It has a brief history, a mission statement, but you can see on the side here, subpages for the board, the staff, etc. It's a beautiful site. People coming to your site will also want to do some research to find out who your board of directors are, your advisors, your staff, etc. All charities need to have a board of directors, and there should be a page devoted to them. You spend a lot of time getting those board members to agree to help, show them off. a nice bio, nice photo. Here's the example from ALS Canada. Nice headshots. One minor complaint I would have, there should be a little bio so that people understand who these board of directors are and why they are on the board. And staff, the people who actually are doing the work. Again, nice headshots, your name, bio, contact information. It should all be there. There should also be a dedicated page to allow people to contact the staff. This can either be via email or you can set up a special page like the one shown here. My personal preference is an email. Filling out a form means I'm just going to show you all my spelling mistakes. That's the downside. On the upside, it does keep away spam. The contact page should also have a mailing address. Some people still like to mail checks. Also, a mailing address adds another layer of trust. And the final example for building trust that I'm going to show here is a partners page. If you get special donations or grants or gifts from corporations, advertise that. If you are partnering with other groups or universities, advertise that as well. It's a great way to stay in good graces with the other groups and companies, and it lets people know that you're a playa in the big leagues, or at least junior A. So that's the end of today's webinar. Once again, I just want to reiterate that we understand that you are busy with limited staff and a limited budget, but we at Zeal Access have been in the patient advocacy, web development, and web content business for over 15 years. We understand your struggles, but we also know that in order to attract patients, doctors, researchers, and donors, you need to find the time to make your website attractive to them. If you want to learn more about how we can help you take your website to the next level, please contact me at jim@zealaccess.ca. Thank you again for taking the time to watch this webinar, and feel free to go to zealaccess.ca for more tips. Have a good day.